Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for carving out a good slice of your time to be with us here at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday morning for our webinar. This is the second in the series of our webinars through Southern Queensland Country Tourism. We kicked off in a great way with Peter Homan, the CEO of SQCT last week. And today we're going to be talking just perfect timing for how to use social media during COVID-19. And as we've just heard, you know, from the PM in the last few days, the handbrake's coming off, as Pete Homan loves to say. And it's coming off in a big way. Fingers crossed with our three-step plan. So the timing for this webinar in terms of knowledge for social media and how you guys and girls can use this to your advantage as we come off the back of this. Yeah, the timing is absolutely brilliant. You're going to hear lots of great information. So get your pens at the ready. My name is Chris Parsons from Southern Queensland Country Tourism. I'm on the board and a massive advocate of the region. I'll be hosting this series of webinars over the course of the next few weeks. So just a bit of housekeeping before I get on our first of two guests here today. You can see the chat box, which is just down the bottom of your screen to the right of participants. That is where we will be putting in our questions. Also, tell us where you are and where you're from. We've had plenty of people from Stanthorpe, Warwick and the Granite Belt and Stanthorpe say hello, and everyone's resoundingly saying how cold it is. Toowoomba, hello. Oh, Pete Homan from Toowoomba. Good to hear. Good to see you, Peter. Yeah, so use the chat box. Put in your questions. We're going to try to answer those throughout the course of the webinar, but also, and we're going to try and answer those at the end as well. Set aside maybe 10, 12 minutes to answer those. Any questions we don't answer during the course of the 45 minutes we have here today, we'll do offline in the form of email and newsletters. Thanks so much for the people that have sent in your questions as well. We're going to touch upon those as well. So we will kick off. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got a lot to get through, so I'll kick into it. This is how to use social media to your advantage in a big way during and after COVID-19. Before I introduce our main guest here today, I just want to throw to Monica from Southern Queensland Country Tourism. She's the marketing manager, so she's been quite busy putting out the messages during this period. Just going to get her to talk to you about what has been SQCT's response to COVID-19, you know, as it was happening during and now. So no doubt things changed very, very quickly for you guys and working quite strategically, Mon. So in terms of how SQCT has taken on COVID-19, your response to it, what's that been like? How have you gone about that?
Yeah. So yes, the team has been really busy, and so from the get-go, we've tried to be on the front foot. So from a social media perspective, we've from the very start, we've I guess changed our messaging and concentrated on content about the dreaming phase, about when people, you know, inspiring them for their travel plans for when they're able to travel again. At the same time, we've also acknowledged the situation, and our tone and style has been, I guess, empathetic and quite sensitive to the consumers and our visitors and our online communities. And you know, we're constantly reviewing what we're doing from a social media perspective, and developing and changing our content accordingly, depending on the travel restrictions, the social isolation restrictions, etc. But essentially what we've aimed to do is make our destination really shine through to our online communities, whilst remaining sensitive. So we have, and I won't go into detail now, but we, as the travel restrictions are gradually lifted and hopefully consumer confidence from a travel perspective increases, we have a phased plan for domestic market re-entry, and that will be a digital campaign, and we'll touch on that in later webinars. But that's certainly what we've been working on from the get-go from a social media perspective.
And just quickly, you know, you guys are you're getting that information very quickly from the government in terms of the changes. You're quite, you know, happy about the way things are sort of going in terms of, I should say that things are changing very quickly to the point of we may be opening our doors very, very soon. So that sort of changes the way you look at things, no doubt.
Absolutely. And we have to be, as an organisation, and an industry, we need to have that flexibility to change and respond. And, you know, as you touched on, as an organisation, you know, there's so much information coming through from various different state, federal, government departments and other agencies. And so SQCT has really tried to focus on distilling that information and providing it to our industry as best we can.
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks so much, Monica. And just we talked. Our webinar last week was about how to engage with SQT. In terms of that, give the team a call. Send them an email. They are there for you. They can even organise a Zoom meeting for your group if need be. Anything you need to know or want to know, please get in touch. They are certainly transparent, open and willing to give you as much help as you need during this time. So thanks so much, Monica. Great work during this period. And please get in touch with the team, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're going to go to our special guests for today. Ladies and gentlemen, a social media absolute expert, been working in the tourism industry for a long while, from Tourism Events Queensland, Outback Queensland, and a fair few other entities. And what she doesn't know about social media marketing certainly isn't worth knowing, and that collaboration between media marketing and tourism. She is absolutely amazing. She runs her own marketing agency called Media Mortar. So it's unreal to have her today. She's going to drop a lot of knowledge bombs, a lot of golden nuggets on how you can use social media to your advantage. And the timing for that is absolutely perfect. So, ladies and gentlemen, please meet. Here she is right here below me, Hannah Statham.
Hey, Hi. Hannah. Hi. Hello. I'm sorry, I look like a cardboard cutout with this green screen. I can't work out the distance I'm meant to be from the camera. So, let's go with it.
You look amazing on Zoom. I put on Zoom and I think, is that what I look like? Nah, well,
I know.
Let's run with it.
But the good thing is, like, do you know if I'm wearing pants? Who knows?
Put in the chat box if you think Hannah's wearing pants or not. We'll come to the end of that survey at the end of it. So once again to everyone, please put in your questions during the chat. We've got one here from Marco. Thank you, mate. We'll try and get to that as well. But obviously everyone's engaging in social media in a big, big way, and some crazy stats in the how much that has risen, you know, during the course of the sort of 8 weeks. So just let's talk 1,000 foot at the moment. You know, what's been happening on social media at the moment? How have people been engaging?
Yeah, so I mean, it's fairly it's as predicted. It's what we would think. So pretty much the second everyone went into lockdown, what we saw is screen time went up. So and went up internationally. So we can share a link. There's a fantastic report that was prepared by Hootsuite, which is a social media aggregator, and it looked at the international use of different social media platforms and devices across the world. So Facebook at the peak, it rose by 70% month on month with time spent on site. LinkedIn, I presume because a lot of people lost their jobs, was up 26%. We saw new players, so like Zoom, for example. So, you know, in my network, we'd probably only be Zooming maybe once a week. Now everyone's using Zoom. So Zoom actually recorded more downloads than in 1 month than Netflix has had in the history of time. So there's pretty incredible stats like that. House Party was launched as an app during this crisis. It rose by 730% month on month. So absolutely incredible. I think Australia at its peak, the stat that I took, screen time. So, you know, on your phone, when you, if you've got a smartphone and iPhone, you can swap and see your time report.
Yeah.
At the peak, Australia went to 4 hours and 20 minutes on screen time every single day of the week. So it's pretty incredible. I thought everyone was at home working. Evidently, everyone was at home scrolling. So from from a social media perspective, well, there's lots of negatives we can certainly all talk to about the crisis. As a small business owner working in tourism myself, I can certainly, list a lot of benefits, and it is, a lot of consequences that have happened from this, but there's been lots of benefits too. And one of them has been social media usage and the ability to connect with your customers, because quite literally you have a captive audience. And when, in the history of time, we have never had a captive audience quite like the one we've got right now. So as far as marketing opportunities go, you just follow the numbers. People are at home, they have nothing to do, and they're looking at their phones. Now is the time to speak to them, to connect with them, and to form basically those long-term, I guess, awareness messages, so that when people can travel, or when they can buy from you, if you're in an e-commerce sort of space, they remember you.
And because it seems like over the course of the last 8 weeks, because people are consuming so much content on social media, it's created a habit. Not just they're sort of engaging in it for a small period, they've been doing it for quite a while now, probably for the last couple of months at least. And so now it's habitual for them to be constantly consuming content on their phone. And so when you've got aspirational content for a lot of the people listening here today, that's a good thing to plug into, because, I can see, in Brisbane, you go down New Farm Park and people are everywhere. You go down to Burleigh, just down the road here, people are everywhere. In their minds, the gates are open, the government has said so or not. So just so we can give everyone massive value on this webinar, what are the sort of things people should be getting ready for the moment that people can travel? Because like we just said, things are happening really, really quickly. So what can they be doing, Hen?
Well, I guess probably let's just take a step back. And the first thing to sort of call out is that there's two forms of things you can be doing when it comes to marketing or talking with your customers on social media. So the first one is awareness. So that's when you can't sell anything. And the second one is conversion, when we're taking a sales message to market. So with the current restrictions and based on the announcements on Friday, we're sort of in a very blurred line between conversion and awareness at the moment. So if you'd asked me a week ago, I would have said what we're doing on social media is awareness. So what we're trying to do is just be remembered by the customer at the end of this, in very simple terms. We want to be recalled first, because the company or the business or the destination that is recalled first when people can buy is the one that will win the conversion. They will win the sale. So awareness leads to sales. Okay. At the moment, we're in a period where we're sort of between awareness and conversion, because some people can travel, but not everyone can travel, which becomes quite a murky line, because when you're trying to communicate this, and the rules and the roadmap has been written quite vaguely, and requires a lot of interpretation. We don't want to be getting into a space where we're holding ourselves out to be experts on things that fall into those grey areas. So you've got, at the moment, you need to be doing a balance. So what I would sort of recommend you're doing is probably still sitting at a 70% awareness and a 30% conversion, because people still can't come and visit you until we know June 12th at the minimum, at the best case scenario. But I think the reality is it's going to be a lot later than that for anyone. Once we start to draw a 250 kilometre radius around the SQC perimeter, we actually start to restrict a lot of those core markets that we traditionally rely on. So for currently, as at today's date, I would say we're at a 70% awareness, a 30% conversion. And the conversion is a book now, travel later message.
Yeah. When you say awareness, in real terms, what does that mean to the end user? Like, how do they sort of engage in awareness? What does that look like?
Yeah. So, for example, if I was a accommodation operator, so I've got a beautiful B&B, let's use that as an example, I'd be sharing gorgeous sunsets, sunrises, and put the sort of messaging around it, like, hey guys, we're here keeping this beautiful for when it's safe to travel. In case you missed the announcement last Friday, you're able to travel from 12 June with a little asterisk to say, please check government restrictions. Yeah. And we're keeping things wonderful here, ready for your return. We can't wait to see you. So that's a sort of an awareness message. another kind of awareness message. Let's say you are a council area or a destination. I'd be giving people reasons to travel. So we know that people will be able to come in winter. So we need to be starting with our winter messaging. So, as an example, Dolby's perfect in winter. Did you know we'll be alive with colour, with, cotton plants or cotton harvest all over town. It might not be the snow season you were expecting this year, but we'll have cotton puffs of snow all over the region. Something like that is a sort of awareness message, and giving people, firstly, the destination and the time. So from a marketing perspective, we talk about product, we talk about place, and we sort of talk about the positioning. So if you can get those kinds of messages in, then that's how I'd really nail that awareness message. Because
it's all aspirational, isn't it? Like, awareness is, because people are chomping at the bit to get out and go for a drive and find some really green areas. Southern Queensland country's got that in absolute spades. So
absolutely. And sorry to cut you off. I was going to say the things, we don't want to be necessarily super literal about it, but the key messages that we want to bring out is that they're accessible. That's a key market. We are in, like, as far as RTOs go, or LTOs in the tourism matrix, we stand, to gain the most out of this, given our core market of Brisbane, Gold Coast and Sunshine Coast do fall within that 250 kilometre radius. It's a lot harder for anyone inland that they'll feel this much later. So we do need to talk about accessibility. We do need to talk about affordability. That is going to be a major concern. We've seen there was a fantastic study done by Dr. Gabby Waters from UQ that was released, and it was about affordability being a major concern for travellers when they come out. A lot of people have lost jobs. That's not to say they won't still be taking a holiday. It might just be a revised holiday. We're also seeing a lot of change in the way people are going to travel. So, people won't be taking cruises. Will road trips become the new cruise? So things like that are messages. Hygiene is going to be really important. And I think that's a key message that as we start to move into recovery, I'd love to see. I think operators have a really strong responsibility to communicate that. It's got to be done in a really tasteful way. It's not just a matter of saying, hi, we, have hand sanitizer on the reception counter, because that's sort of an expectation moving forward in a post-COVID world. But it's how do we make sure that people feel safe and they feel like your social distancing is going to be very much part of the everyday operation. So
getting across more about people's safety.
Exactly. So I think that's got to be start to come through as we move more into that conversion spaces. We need to give customers peace of mind, and certainly around safety is going to be a major consideration.
Yeah. And even just the lovely scenes that are sort of coming, so many people out from Warwick and Stanthorpe and the Granite Belt, and the frost is just coming in. Obviously, it's getting a little bit colder, but it sort of lends itself to amazing sunsets and sunrises and all those beautiful scenes that all these guys and girls see day to day. Would you suggest capturing those and putting those out, quite easy to social distance out here or whatever that is? I'm just wondering, for the people that are there, should they just be capturing that imagery now, whether they use it now or later?
Oh, absolutely. So one of the sorts of content, and you would have seen on Southern Queensland Country's Instagram and Facebook channel, if you're following that, we've gone quite strong with animals lately. And the reason for that is it's really uplifting content, and it's it gives people a break. And I really believe in using a market research audience of one, which is just look at yourself and look at the sorts of the information or the sorts of images or the sorts of content that you consume on social media. And if you like it or you're sick of it, don't keep repeating it. So, I know certainly from my perspective, as a business owner, once when COVID started back sort of mid-March, I was just absolutely overrun with COVID messaging, and every single business was trying to make COVID relevant to them, trying to offer advice, trying to be helpful. And it was just so heavy, and I felt really heavy hopping onto my news feeds. I actually went off social media for a little time, which is just so unlike me. I absolutely live and breathe this stuff. But what I started to see is the sorts of content that I was really resonating with amongst the stress of it all was stuff I could escape to. I really love armchair travel. I didn't get to do my overseas holiday this year. It was cancelled. But what I'm still doing is I'm following all the destination tourism boards of those destinations I would have visited, because I'll go back. But I'm loving being able to go vicariously. So absolutely, if I was you, I'd be building a content bank of natural assets. SQC in its recovery campaign will lead with nature, which is what Tourism Queensland will lead with their recovery campaign as well, will be nature focused for exactly, as you said, Chris, it's about fresh air and clean, wide open spaces. That's what we've got in spades. It's our biggest USP, you know, on top of the accessibility and the affordability, which are sort of more, I guess, mechanical, tactical elements. But we have fresh air, and at the moment we've got virtual fresh air. So please, if I was an operator, like, don't let a sunrise go uncaptured. Don't let a sunset go uncaptured, because we know at the moment autumn sunsets are always the most beautiful. You get those beautiful pink and purple pops. So film them, use them later. But certainly I'd be capturing that, because, you know, we don't all have cute animals on our property to be able to post, but we can. We've all got sunrises and sunsets we can share.
In terms of that, we've had a few people asking questions about hashtags. I know people love to just talk about hashtags. I don't know a great deal about hashtags. I know to, you know, ask an expert like you which ones I should be using. But in terms of that, when they're capturing these beautiful moments that might seem rather pedestrian to the operators, but for people like me who live on the Gold Coast and yourself in Brisbane, they're absolutely stunning. So in terms of if they're putting out that imagery, that aspirational dreaming imagery, are there certain hashtags they should be using, or?
Absolutely. So I think maybe to your first point, Chris, what is a hashtag? So if I had $1 for every person who ever asked, you know, I probably wouldn't be doing webinars. It's a very common question, and no one really understands them or why they're used, like, generally speaking, when you start to ask people. So a hashtag's just a search word. So the reason we use them, and we use them on Instagram only, is the fact that you can search and curate and collect information. So let's say I was a coffee shop and I was in Toowoomba, I could use hashtag coffee shop, I could use hashtag coffee shop Toowoomba, hashtag Toowoomba. And what I'm trying to do is get people who live in Toowoomba to know I sell coffee. Really simple stuff. Yep. So that's at its core principle. Then what we do from, I guess, a regional perspective is we curate from the hashtag. So how Monica runs the social media channels is we collect the content that comes in on the Southern Queensland Country hashtag. So the hashtag for Southern Queensland Country is hashtag SQ Country. So any image that goes out with that, automatically we get a notification to say, hey, there was a picture using this hashtag. And that's how we populate the SQC Instagram page, and it's how we do their Facebook page as well. That's where we get all the information, all the content, all the visual content from, both the still images and the videos. So if you're taking any beautiful sunrises or sunsets, that is where I would absolutely start.
Yeah.
Light on me. Yeah. I might need to stop my curtain 1 second. I've got.
We've had a few questions about. I think some people have been commenting on what you're actually wearing. Some Bet thinks you're wearing.
They're grey jeans, everyone. I don't know whether you got a flash then.
Well, we've got pajamas. Yeah, I just saw a little bit of denim there. So black pants was another call. So you're all wrong. I'm sorry.
We should have taken a poll. We should have had prizes. Next.
Tracy Larkin. Oh, hello, Tracy. Can't wait to come out to Barney. Say good day to your husband, Innes. Can I confirm that Hannah just recommended that hashtags are used on Instagram only, not Facebook? Great question.
That's correct.
How do RTOs, etc., find your relevant posts?
Okay, so 2 questions there. So where do you use your hashtags? Instagram, it's a long-winded answer. You can technically use them on both. However, Facebook search functionality is so sophisticated that you can find coffee shop Toowoomba without a hashtag. Instagram search functionality is so poor that you cannot search it without the hashtag. So from a best practice example, and I'm talking best practice example, only use them on Instagram. You don't need them on Facebook. If you're putting them on Facebook, it's fine, they work, it's just not best practice.
Okay, yeah.
And then second question, how does SQC find the content?
If not on, well, that's right. If not on Facebook, how do RTOs, etc., find your relevant posts?
If you're not on Facebook, we would find them if you're on Instagram, but if you're not on either, we wouldn't be able to find you on social media because you don't have channels.
But it takes us to another question as well. People have been asking, what is the best platform to use? Obviously, Instagram for me, it seems like it lends itself to that imagery, that visual sort of platform. It is that aspirational thing, perfect for our region. But what do you tell people in terms of that?
I tell people to always take on as many channels as you can manage yourself as a principal. And I'm going to layer in more to this, is that it's better to do one channel well than to do all of them badly.
Yeah.
At the outset. However, Tourism Queensland has a program called Best of Queensland, which you would have heard about at many of these different conferences. And they say that for a tourism operator, the industry benchmark is 4 posts a week to both Instagram and Facebook. So your benchmark is to get to 4 posts a week on Facebook and Instagram. They can be the same posts. You can link them. That's totally fine. However, if you're struggling and you're not doing one of those channels well, or you're not performing there, or I would just say from a business perspective, it's better just to do one really well than take on too much. However, you need to be moving towards the benchmark, and it's no longer good enough to say I don't have enough time for this stuff, because this does take time, but it is really, really important, because this is in small business land, and I run a small business myself, so I can say this with huge authority. A lot of marketing costs money, but social media doesn't. It costs you time. Yeah. And as a small business owner, it's likely that the only currency you've got to trade on, particularly in a time of crisis, is time.
Yeah.
So that's why you really need to prioritize it.
Quick question, then I just want to talk about what people can be doing during this hibernation period in terms of maybe their website and all those sort of upkeep things. Just for a little bit of strategy, in a sense, people are sort of, has the way they're viewing social media in terms of time of day and that sort of thing changed? And in that, do you tell people a certain strategy? If everyone listening is going to post, do you say, is there a certain, you post Monday morning, Wednesday morning, Friday afternoon? Do you have some sort of, has that changed because of the COVID-19, like I suggested?
It has changed to some extent. So traditionally what we would always say is, there's a peak between 7 and 9 in the morning. Then you've got one between 11 and 1 p.m. You've got a 3 till 5 p.m. and then you've got a 10 p.m. slot. I'll just grab my phone and show you, because it's probably better, rather than me tell you what is happening across Australia. Why don't you look at your own feed, because you get your own analytics, which will tell you exactly when you should be posting. Oh. So to do this, you have to have a business account. So, oh God, this green screen's not going to work. Okay.
I had that. Pull back a little bit.
Yeah. I can drop, for anyone who's got their phone in front of them, I'll walk you through it. So you're in Instagram, and I can type up these notes that can go out afterwards. You're in Instagram. There's 3 lines in the top corner, top right-hand corner, like a menu. From there, you go Insights, which sort of looks like a bit of a graph. And in there, if we go activity, so there's like 3 headings across the top: content, activity, audience. It shows you what days people are online and when they're interacting with your post. So you can start to see what's relevant. And Facebook does exactly the same thing. And if you toggle across to audience, you then get little graphs, and it shows you, how old your audience are, where they're based, the gender, and it then down the bottom, it tells me how often this is under audience when they're online. So on my channel, I have a peak at 6 p.m. So this I can tell you for a fact, because my posts go live at 9 a.m. I've got a problem straight away. I should be putting them live a little bit later. So better than me telling you when generally they're online. Best place to start is always when your exact audience is online. And to do that, you need a business profile. And if you want any more assistance with this stuff, personal plug, but we've got a social media ebook that we wrote that we use in a lot of these workshops. It's $20. It goes through all of this and how to get, this is sort of a step-by-step guide. It's a downloadable copy, so you can refer to it as much as you like. So if you want to sort of upskill on this and use you know, I hate the word downtime because as a business owner, I've had no friggin' downtime. I've been running around like a blue ass fly the whole time. But it's, you actually, you know, if you do happen to have downtime, this is a great opportunity to upskill.
Well, yeah, I suppose there isn't a great deal of downtime, but certainly a lot of people have been running the fine tooth comb through their business, trimming a bit of fat. You know, we hear about pivoting and all this kind of stuff, probably a little bit too much, but it certainly is a great time to look through every facet of the business and see what's happening. And obviously marketing is a good section of that. In terms of sort of really using this time to your advantage, and before we hopefully come out the back, what are a few things that people can engage in terms of doing that spring cleaning, or sort of engaging in or throwing out?
Yeah, so I think at the outset, what every business did, myself included, is when this all went down, first thing you did was took a pen to every expense on your business and just started wiping line items, right? That makes perfect sense. We didn't know how long this was going to last for. We needed to cut costs. However, as we sort of moved through it, and by no means, you know, and this is all depends on your own financial position, marketing is a really good cost to your business. And I don't say that as a marketer, I say it as a business owner and as a strategist, because what we know is that marketing drives sales, and sales is how money comes into your business. So we don't want to be eliminating, in times where money is tight, the only activity that you do that brings money in. You know, it's incongruous. What we want to be doing is certainly reducing things that aren't creating an impact. So we want to be creating marketing plans and preferencing things that have high impact, low touch, or low cost, high impact, those sorts of things we should be doing, but we certainly shouldn't be cutting it. And there's a lot of, in the Hootsuite report I referred to earlier, they talk a lot about what happened in 2009 in the USA recession, and also in the GFC, that the businesses who marketed through it came back faster than the ones who didn't. So that's why it's really important to keep this stuff going. And a lot of social media, if you're not doing any paid activity, so when you're not doing paid social media, it's called organic social media. Organic social media is built on momentum. And like a snowball, it gathers a little bit of snow each time it rolls, and it becomes a big snowball, but over time. The second that snowball stops, you're going from a standing start again, and it's really, really difficult to get it moving, because once it's just much easier to pick up pace from a moving start than a standing one. So that's why, from an organic perspective, it's very important that you stay online and stay consistent through this. And it's also, this is why you need to be marketing as well, because marketing is going to bring the cash back into the business. So it's a good cost to eliminate. I do appreciate, you know, at the start of this, and it is based on business's cash flow. We can't all be, you know, still making amazing things, but looking at the low touch, high impact things you can be doing.
Yeah. That's a perfect segue, actually, because I want to sort of frame up before we go to, I'm aware that we've got probably about 10 minutes to go. I want to ask you for your key takeaways, the biggest sort of touch points that you can give people before we enter into the questions. But I just want to ask if you could frame up the importance of marketing for accommodation houses, for all these operators out there, because a lot of people, A, they don't really want to do it. B, they don't want to spend the money on it. For you, who left a full-time job as a publicist for Tourism Events Queensland, and you went as far as you could go, you started up your own media marketing agency. You obviously see value in it. So for the people out there, how important is it, and how important is it for them to invest in it? Because it's all about that ROI.
Well, what I love about social media and digital marketing in particular, and it's not just because this is my niche, is that it's entirely measurable. So it's not an area of marketing that you turn around and say, oh, well, did it work? Didn't it work? We can see it moving, and we can see the needle moving. We can see followers moving. We can see engagement moving. If we run a Facebook ad, we can see click-throughs to website. We can see transactions. We can see how many people put it in the basket. And what's important with that data is then you can do something with it. So let's say, you know, we do a campaign and we see everyone's going to basket. There's no problem with the product. There's no problem with the price, but they're not converting. Then we can start to ask questions about the website. Well, why didn't they actually click purchase? Why didn't they put their credit card details in? Maybe it was too hard. So we can start to ask those questions. So in terms of an ROI perspective, digital marketing actually has one of the most tangible ROIs around it. We can see that it's working. So that's, you know, to me, if you are nervous about doing marketing, that's why I would really strongly suggest digital is a great way to go, because if you can see and you can pull it at any time. It's a low cost investment. You know, let's use Facebook advertising as an example. You can advertise with as little as $1. I mean, you'll get what you pay for, but it's as little as $1. You know, good luck getting a printed ad in any magazine for $1. So you can reach people at that rate. So, you know, as an example, I was doing some research for a client recently about a recovery campaign. They wanted primetime metro, they wanted a TBC. You're looking at $40,000 for 30-second slot. Yeah, it's outrageous. That's once to see it once. Plus you've got to make the thing. So from my perspective, digital is a really high impact. So if we wanted to go, you know, we can get super targeted. We can, you know, let's say for your, I'll use my business as an example. I've just made another little plug. I made a 52-week social media calendar for tourism operators, because I've been doing a lot of these sessions and everyone always says, oh, but I really struggle with coming up with what to write. So I thought, well, why don't I write your captions for you for a year? So there's thought starters so people can download this. And it's, anyway, so what I've done is and this is just to this point on targeting. I don't want everyone, this is not relevant to every business. It's only relevant to tourism operators. So I've got my ad live. Hopefully someone's seen it, because I'm spending money on it. And it's targeted to only the Facebook page admins who look after a travel or tourism related business. So I know my team have all seen it. So they're getting it. So that's the kind of level of detail that we can get. So it means that instead of putting this product live into the world, I'm actually putting it live to the people who want it. So for you, if you're, say, a tourism accommodation business, you're in Stanthorpe, you want the Brisbane market, you've got that ability to draw it literally a circle, and Facebook puts a circle around Brisbane. You can then say, you know, my customers are aged, you know, 45 to 55, they're empty nesters. You can put all of that detail in, and then your ads only get seen by them. So to me, it's a good cost, and you're not going to be just wasting money with it, because it's so targeted.
TVC as well, because that's just going out to a whole group of people. Whereas with that targeting, you're going not only to, you're going to the right people at the right time. And that's a huge difference and a great little buy-in in terms of the ROI as opposed to TVC. And especially with, I think if you're an accountant or a dentist, it's a little bit harder to do in terms of getting out, you know, content. I mean, all our operators and the people that are listening to this webinar right now, it's such good content, like we suggest before, all that great stuff. So as we head into the last sort of 7 minutes of this webinar, and what are some key takeaways you'd like to give out? If you were going to drop as much value as you could just in the next couple of minutes, what are some great little hints, tips, gold nuggets?
First thing, get started. If you've stopped ROI from Pam, ROI is return on investment.
Sorry, Pam.
Apologies, I speak in acronyms. It's a social media habit. People have got no idea what I talk about most of the time. And it's just, it's like a foreign language. I'm sorry. And I don't even know I'm doing it. That's the shocking thing. Biggest takeaways, top tips. If you stopped your social media because, quite frankly, you weren't sure what to do, which happened to a lot of operators. They just said, I'm nervous about doing anything, or I don't know what to say. I don't want to offend. So they just pulled up the handbrake, to quote Peter. Get going, get started again. There's only probably three really bad examples of social media I've seen through this. First one is advertising to the wrong market. So, you know, I live in Brisbane and got advertised a Perth greengrocer during the crisis, which is just a waste of their money. You know, I can't travel there. Why am I getting those ads? Second one is being too salesy, but it's very difficult to be too salesy when no one can travel. So I don't think you're going to fall into that restriction. So that's more I've seen with like e-commerce stores selling, you know, dresses or luxury goods, trying to sell things during a crisis when no one's got any money. That can come across a little bit unethical. But if you can't, you know, realistically, we're in a glorious position where all we can do is post beautiful pictures and raise awareness. You're not going to fall into that trap. And the third thing I've seen is the trap I would say that I've seen is too much empathy. So making it a bit too heavy. You're a bit like trying to paint it that, you know, you're very down and out, the industry's been decimated. And while that may be true, it's very heavy for the reader. We want to be uplifting, we want to be light, we want to be positive, and we want to give people a reason to stay. So get going, because they are the only three things that I've seen and I digest a lot of social media, and they're the only three mistakes I've seen. And I would almost guarantee you cannot fall into one of them. it would be very difficult to fall into one of them. So that's my key takeout. Second key takeout, look at your marketing, audit your marketing, and use this time to look at yourself against your competitors. So if you're not regularly doing competitor analysis, you really should be, because that's what SQC does. It's what every destination does, is we need to benchmark against people who are better than us. So have a look at your competitors' websites, have a look at people at products that you aspire to be like, look at their website. If your website doesn't look like theirs, start asking the question, why doesn't it look at, how could you make changes? And I appreciate, you know, we're not probably in a cash financial position that we can go and brief a web developer to go and do it. But what we are in a position to do is to write that brief right now. Because I guarantee when things pick up and things will get busy, and just from the sentiment that I've seen on SQC social media just overnight, you know, someone put, no, I booked four trips to Stanthorpe with 4 lots of friends, I'm coming, and people are starting to feel, which is great, people coming back. The cash flow will come back at some point, and wouldn't it be great to have the brief ready to go so that you've got all your marketing materials looking really schmick? And honestly, if you're not sure and you can't, or you're too close to it to audit your own stuff, yeah, I'm certain that Mon and Pete at SQC would be more than happy to provide, you know, a couple of thoughts around it if you're unclear, because if we all get our marketing looking better, the whole, you know, a rising tide lifts all boats. Let's get everyone looking really schmick during this time.
Beautifully said. Thanks, Hen. Do you want to touch upon a few questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Shall I? The chat is going off,
isn't it? We've got a quick one about what's your call on video? I'm a video guy, and I think if you want to, if there's anything to shoot, it's these wonderful areas that you all reside. I got Sharon Blunstone from Pelican Rest Tourist Park, creating short video clip for communication messages. What would you suggest? And also got another question, Faith Simon, how to post longer videos to Instagram. So in terms of video content for these guys and girls, what's your suggestion?
Okay, video. This is a great question. Probably, Chris, you're even better to answer it than me. Video reigns supreme, first and foremost.
Yep.
If you put up a video versus a still photo, the video will do better.
Right.
I saw a fantastic example yesterday, not from SQC. It was from Outback. It's a video. It's a DIY one from a property called Charlotte Plains. The lady who runs it, you'd be familiar with it. Yep. She has just done, it is the easiest video I've seen. It's really, really powerful. She's standing outside her bathtubs, beautiful sunset behind. She's holding the camera facing her. Production quality is nothing, but it's a great video. She says, I forget her name. She's like, hi guys, it's Carol here from Charlotte Plains. Just letting you know, we are so excited to have you when it's safe to travel. Can't wait to share these beautiful sunsets with you. It's Charlotte Plains. Here's our website. So simple. It's just great. Have a look at that as an example, as a super simple piece of video content that you could produce yourself. Production quality is low. You don't need to have all the bells and whistles. And I think that's what, for me, this pandemic has really given permission for people to do, is experiment more with videos, because it's not like anyone's got a Chris coming out to shoot right now, because you can't travel, you can't come and do it. So everyone's doing DIY content. So there is a total permission for your content to look a little bit DIY. So that's a great example.
Actually, off the back of that, let's lay out a challenge, because I think if you're going to start engaging in social media, and now's the time to do it, how about everyone that's listening right now, Hannah, Monica, and myself challenge you to do a video just like that, you know, whatever the scene is. And like I said before, it might be something that feels really pedestrian to you, but I come out to this area all the time, and I'm blown away by how stunning it is. So how about you take an image of whatever it is, a wallaby feeding, your accommodation, a sunset, a mountain, whatever it is, and say, hi, it's blah, blah, blah from blah, blah, blah. We can't wait to have you. Easy to social distance out here. As you can see, the sunsets are, whatever that is. And
then hashtag SQC, so we know, SQ country, so we know it's happened.
Perfect. And
I love it.
That's the challenge. So everyone, tell me in the chat right now, I'm in, because you either listen and you don't do anything about it, or you listen and you take action, because this is the time to actually go and do it. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. I want to see your smiling face in this beautiful area that you live in, and I want you to post that in the with today or tomorrow morning. Get that sunset, get that sunrise, whatever that thing is. I've got a few people in. Great. Good on you, Trace. Good on you, Joe, Debbie. That's awesome. In terms of the longer videos to Instagram as well, Hen.
Yep. So there's a lot of different file sizes that Instagram can only fit a certain amount of time. So it's a minute in your feed, but then you can do longer if you do an IGTV. So the minimum for an IGTV is 1 minute, and that is where you can put your longer form content. But even that times out, I think after 20 minutes. I've got all the specs in that ebook I mentioned. But that is, if you don't fall within those time limits, there's nothing you can really do about that. So as far as if you're talking about in feed, which is the nine squares, or when you hop in, or the big squares when you hop in, you generally, when it first launched, it was about 15 seconds, but now it's up to a minute. So, and after a minute, it just cuts off. So you need to optimize for that, or make it an IGTV. And if you need any help with that, you just Google how to create IGTV, and that'll walk you through it. Or I've got steps in the ebook as well.
Perfect. And just while we wrap up, and thanks so much for everyone. I've got a few people saying, I'm in. I want to see a few more if I can. I think I'd suggest that's one of the best things you could be doing for your business right now, is starting that process of saying, we're okay, we're open, we can't wait to have you. That's that awareness leading to conversion that Han spoke about at the start of the webinar. And just before we go and we close off, and thanks so much for your time today. Thanks for hanging around. But for someone like me, I've got a small business. Social media is something that I've got a rough idea on how to go about it, but it's not something I really want to do. I barely post at all about myself. And I think it's one of those things in my mind, you've got to love it. You've got to know what's going on day to day, because the landscape changes so quickly in terms of Facebook and Instagram. You really got to be on it. In terms of that, to engage, a business, like yourself, are you open to that? In terms of for the people that do want to engage and sort of get them out there, how does it work? Just before we go, is it a consultancy or is it?
Yeah, so we run a lot of people's social media accounts for them. If you're thinking of outsourcing your social media, the first thing I'd say is it's always better, and we always say the best person to run your social media is you. And the reason is that you're in your business and you know what you're doing. So outsourcing is really, I personally believe with social media, is a matter of last resort. A lot of people just don't have time to do it. So I often tell people that what we're in the business of is selling extra time for you, because that's really what it comes down to, is it's prioritizing that time. So whether it's our agency or a number of agencies, most people will work in a sort of staged approach where they can take the reins of all the social media accounts for you. We also offer education where we'll teach you how to do it yourself. And I always think that's where you get the best results, is when someone sits down with you one-on-one and you troubleshoot all of those questions, and then you've got the confidence to do it yourself, because you know what's happening in your business a lot better. How could I, who runs a content marketing agency, ever have as much understanding of what you do in your day-to-day as you do, So the second way is to educate yourself. And then the third and the cheapest way is through things like, ebooks or online courses. Facebook's got a lot of incredible resources. If you want to learn advertising, they've put all of their Facebook education for free over the COVID period. So if you can carve out that time, but I would just say, if you're going to DIY it, just really structure your learning, because if you just say, I'm going to do the Facebook ad course, you'll never do it. You need to say, on Fridays, Friday mornings, I don't do anything but upskill in marketing, and really make it a KPI, and set yourself some goals and actually measure it, make it formal education.
How about the time? Yeah.
Yeah, you'll never do it. So that's how you can do it. And then the fourth sort of way, which is sort of like an interim, is just get someone to come and take a bird's eye look in your business as like a consultant, come and sit down with you for an hour. We offer something called Marketing Manager on Demand, which is you get me for an hour and a half and I'll help you set your priorities, and then you can go away and do it yourself. So lots of agencies do very similar. Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of, if you're looking at external options, they're kind of the ways that I've seen most businesses do it. And what you're searching for is social media content management or social media manager. If you put that into Google, you'll find most of the local people as well who do that. There's lots of people. They're all they're certainly, I've had a lot of interaction with some that are really good. And, I think, I haven't really heard of anyone who's particularly bad, at it. So it's a pretty safe space if you're looking to invest.
We've already got one customer, Debbie Wheeler. I'd like to engage Hannah to work with me on Facebook. Can you pass?
Oh, there we
go. And just before we go, and for your ebook as well, we'll get that link out to people as well. And of course, your details if people want to know more. But thanks so much for your time, Hannah. Let's all give Hannah a virtual round of applause. As you can see, she could talk all day and into the night about social media, but it's just so incredibly important to engage in it right now, because certainly you've got some amazing products to sell. And once again, the challenge is out there. Myself, Hannah, and the whole team from SQCT want to see you take that video and do it over the course of the next 48 hours. We're going to do a shout out to all the people that have done that. I think it's absolutely amazing. So thanks so much, Hannah, for your time. Really appreciate that. Guys and girls, for all the questions that we didn't get to, thanks so much for sending them through. Of course, we want to give you as much value as possible, so we couldn't answer them all right now, but we'll do that offline. Isn't that right, Mon? We'll try and send out the answers to all those questions as much as we can through email and the newsletter. Everyone, thanks so much for your time. This is the second in the course of the series for the SQCT webinars, absolutely free. Next week, we've got a real treat, same bat time, same bat channel. We're going to be talking to the guys from Neural Digital. And this is where we enter in the world of data. And before your eyes glaze over, this is something that's going to be available through the SQCT website, which is already got that new car smell. It's almost fresh out of the oven. It's almost there. And we've been engaging these amazing geniuses from Neural Digital, where we can tap into incredible data for the people that are coming into Southern Queensland country region. We'll know certain things like where they're from, their age, how many kids they have, where they're traveling from, how much money they're spending, and then how we can market to those exact people. And this is something that will be available to members in the new model for Southern Queensland country, which is coming out very soon. But this is something we can all tap into, and it's going to be an absolute game changer. Every time Peter Homan talks about it, his eyes light up and he just gets giddy talking about it. He's so excited about it, and it's a real treat to have them engage us to do this work. So I'm going to be having a talk to them 10 o'clock next Tuesday. Don't miss out on that. It's something we can all engage into, and it certainly will lead into that ROI, which once again stands for return on investment, and getting conversion, getting people out into this amazing region. So everyone, don't forget, if you do need any questions answered, if you want to engage Southern Queensland country, it's as easy as getting in touch with the team from there. Send them an email, give them a yell, and if you want to organise a Zoom chat for a few of you and you want to dip into their brains, please do so. So don't forget, next time, 10 o'clock next Tuesday, sign up. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Hannah, thank you so much. Thank you, Monica. Guys, take your videos. I want to see them very quickly. Thanks for your time, and we'll see you later.